This week, we chat to Alienware about the cool stuff they've got coming out this year, including Steam machines. Mike digs through his Videogame Shoebox to find his copy of Street Fighter 2, and Mel goes hunting for beetles and discovers something very different as she plays through Yokai Watch. This is Player Attack. Hi, I'm Jessica Citizen, and this week we've got a stack of Fallout news for you. First up, the latest game, Fallout 4, has been named Game of the Year at the 2016 DICE Awards. The game actually took home 3 awards, including RPG of the Year and Outstanding Achievement in Game Direction, while Bethesda also picked up another gong for Mobile Game of the Year with Fallout Shelter. Other awards were handed to The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt for Outstanding Achievements in Story, Technical Achievement and Game Design, Ori and the Blind Forest for Animation, Original Music Composition and Art Direction, and Lara Croft from Tomb Raider for Outstanding Achievement in Character. Rocket League was named Sports Game of the Year, Hideo Kojima was inducted into the Hall of Fame, and late Nintendo president Satoru Iwata was granted a Lifetime Achievement Award. Anyway, back to Fallout. Germany has surprised everybody by unbanning Fallout 3 some 7 years after the game's initial release. It seems the youth of today are less easily offended, as the troublesome content is no longer classified as harmful to minors from today's perspective, according to the report. And while the unbanning is good news, we're not quite sure why it's happening, so maybe keep your eyes out for a Fallout 3 remastered announcement. But now on to something completely different. When we caught up with Warren Spector at last year's PAX Australia, he hinted that he might be interested in returning to game development as he was inspired by the indie projects people were working on. Looks like he wasn't kidding, he's come back to work on the perfect game. System Shock 3, the long overdue sequel to the game he helped create back in the mid-90s. Spector has taken a little time out to work in the education sector, but once the current semester ends, he'll be jumping into a studio director role at Other Side Entertainment to work on the return of Shodan. And in not completely unrelated news, it looks like there's a Bioshock bundle on the way, with the Brazilian Game Advisory Rating Board posting a reference to something called the Bioshock Collection for PC, PS4 and Xbox One. 2K is keeping quiet on the topic, but nobody is going to be that surprised if it happens.
We Alkari are to rule over every horizon, even yours. It is the will of the Sky God.
I look at your mewling fleet and wonder, who put the cat among the pigeons?
You obtuse piece of flotsam. It was folly to trust you in the first place.
Wargaming's Master of Orion reboot is out now via Early Access, and if you thought some of those voices sounded familiar, you would be absolutely correct. While the game is pretty impressive looking from this side of the screen, it's even more impressive if you peek behind the curtain. Mark Hamill, Alan Tudyk and Michael Dorn are all lending their voices to various alien races, plus Freddy Krueger himself, Robert Englund. And of course, Nolan North and Troy Baker are on board as well, because it's a video game and that's what they do. We'll take a look at Master of Orion in next week's show. In quick news, Dark Souls 3 on Xbox One will come with a special bonus if you pick up a digital version, a fully playable, backwards compatible version of the original Dark Souls that you can play on your new console. You will have to act fast though, it is a limited time offer. And speaking of all things Microsoft, Quantum Break is set to hit Xbox One and Windows PC on April 5, but don't expect to play this one on Steam. Microsoft is locking it down as a Windows Store exclusive, which even the publisher acknowledges might rub a few gamers the wrong way. If you're not sure which platform you want Quantum Break on, pre-order on Xbox One, which will get you a PC copy of the game, as well as copies of both Alan Wake and Alan Wake's American Nightmare. Last year, electronic composer Giorgio Moroder admitted that he was working with Skrillex on a new game based on the Tron movies, which Disney kept very tight-lipped about. Now we know that game is real, as Tron Run R exploded in a bit of a neon blur onto both PC and PS4 last week, with an Xbox One version due out very shortly. It is, of all things, an endless runner complete with light combat and a killer aesthetic. From the world of virtual reality, HTC and Valve have finally priced their upcoming VR headset, the Vive, and if you are hoping for this one to be a cheapie, you're going to be disappointed. That said, the $799 asking price does include the headset, 2 touch controllers and 2 Lightroom sensor boxes, so you can jump right into a virtual environment with 360-degree movement tracking and room scale sensors. The Vive is due out in early April, putting it just behind the Oculus Rift, but still ahead of PlayStation VR, which has a release window of this year. And finally, as a fan of both video games and terror-bad movies, I am pleased to confirm that Capcom and Legendary are working on a sequel to Dead Rising: Watchtower. Dead Rising Endgame sees Jesse Metcalfe return as journalist Chase Carter, with a number of other familiar faces bolstering the ranks. Billy Zane has also signed up as, wait for it, a handsome, cruel scientist who has been hired to find a cure for the zombie outbreak, but who is actually experimenting on the infected. Dead Rising Endgame is due out mid-year, again through Sony's digital service, Crackle. For more information on any of these stories, or to keep up to date with the latest gaming news, head to playerattack.com. But for now, stick around, got plenty more still to come.